make 719 times. I want you to wrap your mind around that. Costco, who's better, Reverend, send them to Costco's, 262 to 1. It ain't great, but it's better. Now, in the fiscal year 2024, Target CEO Brian Cornell received a total compensation of over $19 million. This included a base salary of $1.4 million. He had $14.7 million in stock awards and $3.1 million in other compensation. 719 times the median employee pay of a little over $26,000. We can't play these games with these people. And it is immoral, it is righteous that we are in the house of the Lord talking about how black people organized from the get-go was in the Christian church. Target don't love us, and Target got to be made an example of because, as Dr. Brian laid out, he the one that made the promise. So now you can't promise me the Mercedes and the house, and then I come find out my name ain't on the deed. You can't promise me the Mercedes and then it's depreciating every single day. And as T and I say, you can't love me at night and won't take me out in the day. Hello? That's Target. They played on our sympathies when the CEO came out and said that George Floyd could have been one of his employees. Now, he was telling the truth at the time, but what I want to know from the CEO of Target, what changed from 2020 to 2025? Don't bend the bigotry. And that is exactly what he did. That is what so many of these people did. But I want the black community to know tonight as I center you and those who are aligned with us that when we move, the whole nation moves. When we move, we are the moral consciousness of this nation. When we move, they move. So we got to move. And we must not forget the workers at Target. We have to collectively figure out a way, because see, what's going to happen is their market share continues to go down as they continue to be indicted in the world of the public. The next thing this dude going to come say is he going to lay off some employees. They already took their bonus. See, we got to be a step ahead of him. What I want to know is when he going to give up 1,719 times the pay that he makes. Right. There is purchase in our power, and all of these other corporations, they shaking in their boots because they know we coming for you next.
That's right. Ron, I'm going to come to you for this one. Senator Turner said something quite compelling about how America never wanted us to really be equal, right? And there's this thing about a corporation loving us. But corporations aren't built to love. They are transactional. But we can make them respect us. When you deal with black businesses, this is your job, all across this nation and also outside of the nation at times. What is the greatest dynamic, the building block? What is the it factor? Because I agree, we have to do a realignment here. It has to be a realignment. If we withdraw, that means we got some money to spend. We need to spend it with somebody. Talk to us about that.
Great question, and thank you, Jamal, for having us. Thank you, audience, as well, watching. Conversation has really been about what's happening, not just to the employees, but also to the black business owners that had their products in Target. And understand that we were sensitive to those concerns. So the U.S. Black Chamber, under the leadership of Ron Busby, went to those businesses and said, you're losing a lot of money by having your products in Target. We can go direct to your websites, we can go direct to your stores, we can go direct as consumers to your businesses and make you a better business owner. Many of our businesses now are on a platform that we across the country can support. When asked generally in America, more than 80% of Americans think that DE&I is good. more than 70% of Americans say if the products were the same, a black product and a white product, under this climate, they would continue to support black products. We as black consumers have to hear that. We've got to be able to support our own. We talk a lot about the trillions of dollars that black businesses can market to black people. The majority of that leaves our communities, and we've been talking about that for decades. But this movement has allowed us to now talk about how do we keep that dollar in our community to ensure that our communities and our businesses and our families have the structure and the long-term sustainability. So what you have now seen is that people that are under the age of 40 years old, that are black and or white, are saying at least once a week, I'm looking for black products. At least once a week. If you're black and under 35, they're looking to spend with black businesses daily. We've got to make sure that they can be found. And so that's why I was so happy to partner with this fast and this boycott to make sure that it's not just what are we doing about Target, because it was never our interest about Target. I never wanted to say, well, Target is bad and somebody else is good. I'm always saying, buy black. I don't care where you go. Make sure that we are being intentional about who we're spending our money with. Make sure that they look like you, because 70% of black businesses hire black people. They live in our communities. Their children go to the same schools that you go to. When our kids are playing softball and they're looking for somebody to donate money, we're going to those black franchise owners. We're going to those black business owners and saying, hey, my son needs some new uniforms. Hey, my daughter is about to go to college. Can you make a donation? We've got to now make sure that those businesses have the resources and our dollars to make sure that they can continue to survive. This is going to be a difficult time for all businesses, but particularly for black-owned businesses, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can change the future of black businesses tonight. When we leave here, we should not be talking about, well, what do we do next? Everyone in this room has a phone, and everyone in this room has access to black-owned businesses and black events and opportunities and nonprofits. The federal government has really gutted many of the programs, technical assistances, loans, grants, so that you will have now churches and nonprofits and chambers of commerce that have to step in. That means that we've got to support those organizations that are supporting those businesses to make sure that they can support you. I'm really excited about the Bullseye. That's a great program. But many of us don't live in those communities. But in every community across the country, there are black-owned businesses. And we've got to make sure that you can support them. Take this down, byblack.us. That is a digital directory of over 150,000 black-owned businesses that you can support today. You don't have to worry about what Target is going to do in the future. We can continue to support our own and make sure that whatever Target says, whatever Walmart says, whatever any of these companies say, we've got the businesses and the consumers to make sure that we have sustainability. byblack.us. We can't spend our way out of this, but we can support each other to make sure that we get through this. And that's where you can find it.
Well said. So you're saying it's a paradigm shift, a mind shift.
Start thinking differently.
Now, that part, and I'm going to come to you, Doc, it's a mind thing. It's how we think about something, right? Understand the context. Understand how it happened. When we did not have equal rights by law, we had our great leaders, like yourself and others, march, create policy, run for office, vote, became leaders, donated money, all for the purpose of creating that equitable outcome. But here's what happened. A trick happened. The individuals who we were working with to integrate were the same individuals who never wanted us to integrate in the first place. But they were in charge of everything. So integration never happened. They wanted assimilation. They wanted you to assimilate to their culture and forget about your own. So in order to do that, in order for you to be equal, you had to stop going to the black-owned store and go to the one that white people can go to, because that was the measure of equality. In order to be equal, you had to sit where white people sat. I'm not bashing anybody, I'm just trying to make a point, because that created a, say it again, come on, it created a mindset. It created a mindset. And that mindset is so powerful that it becomes a spell, it seems, where we'll know it logically, but then we implement action opposite. You have a difficult job, brother. You raise the consciousness of people in the mind, and you have a great advocacy leadership role. When we talk about mind, because my business brother, the money man, said it's all in the mind. I'm coming to you. How do we transition the mind? It's not about access. It's not about do you know where to go. It's about us making the conscious to subconscious, subconscious to conscious connection to simply do it. How?
I appreciate y'all. First, let me say thank you as well to my brother, literal and figurative. Shout out to the Noops in the room for creating this space. Also, as an unapologetic member, y'all simmer down. As an unapologetic member of the Mama's Boys Club, I want to double tap on honoring that there is nothing that we have that's beautiful in this world that doesn't come through black women. So I hope y'all hear my heart when I say thank you, including the ability to sit here and do this. Some of you met me when life was better, when there were black people in the house that black people built, who we knew loved other black people in our country, including our democracy. I was leading a White House initiative on educational excellence for African Americans. We could go to sleep with a sense of peace that there was not a fascist trying to rob us from our wealth to make his friends wealthy. And we existed in community. I'm saying this to make plain that sometimes we work too hard at things that we don't need to. The kindergarten teacher in me wants us in this moment to do three things. Three things, y'all can write them down. One is to own our power. As has been said, there wouldn't be a single thing in this country or any other country if it weren't for us. We curate cool. We are literally the progenitors of everything. Black people are alchemists. We take the things that they give us to kill us and innovate, Renaissance style. We don't need to be lulled by the trappings of white mediocrity to drink their water knowing that it's not colder. We just need to reclaim, this is number two, African ways of being. In this moment, we should not be distracted by the temptations of folks like the failed history teacher turned governor of Florida. His name is Ronald Dion DeSantis, who are passing bills to tell us to stop being woke. Don't say gay or trans or the things. Don't do the things that black feminists say we need to do, because if we can name our conditions, we can then begin to change them, right? But what black people know is that, as Brian Stevenson says, systems work exactly as designed. These schools were not built for our babies to know who they are and whose they are. But no, hold on, y'all gonna miss the blessing. The challenge is that we have abdicated the responsibility to ensure our babies know who they are and whose they are and given that job to white folks. We didn't outsource that labor. And so in this moment, while some of us are worried about where we're going to go get our outfits for Easter, not necessarily thinking about how we're going to build libraries with books that they are banning, I'm simply asking us to do that which we know we can do. We can teach our babies the story of Meshach, Shadrach, and a bad Negro. Because they went through this before. I told you, Nebuchadnezzar is just like Ronald Deion DeSantis. They think too much of themselves and ain't done nothing to prove it. He said to them, black boys, I need you to bow at this statue or I'm gonna condemn you to this fiery pit of hell. And y'all gonna be in Section 8. We find joy wherever we go. Those brothers, when adults got scared, when adults were like, look, you can have this job. You can have my woman. Brothers who didn't vote for bodily autonomy and women to have decisions over their bodies. You can have my babies. Those three young brothers was like, nah, I'm good. What they knew, and this is, I hope y'all get this, this is why I am thankful that God chose me to be an educator, to understand the teachings of folks like Asa Hilliard, who said, I've never met a child in my life, a child who is black, who is not a genius. There's no secret to how we love them. There's no secret to how we love them. We first acknowledge them as human, and we support them with love. We have to support each other with the kind of love that says, I have faith to know that I'm going to commit to this boycott. I'm going to commit to being in community, even in this moment when I don't trust none of y'all, because I know it's necessary. I'm going to have the kind of faith that says, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to believe. Some of y'all already know this is not a David Johns thing. This is a Dr. Martin Luther King thing. He preached this sermon at Ebenezer Baptist Church in '63. Too often we walk in spaces where white people are responding to the fact that the sky is falling for them for the first time. If we just turn down the white noise, if we invite them, some of my colleagues brought her into the room, Fannie Lou Hamer. If we remind them none of us are free unless and until all of us are free, amen? If we remind us that we don't need nothing from white people. We don't need nothing from white people. They can't even make potato salad. Y'all stop giving out tickets to the cookout. But all of this to say that we have everything we need to ensure that our babies are woke, that they are critical thinkers, that they are equipped to do the kind of work to wage war with whiteness. And now here's the last thing. What we should know is that we are winning. That we are here having a conversation with the congregation on today. That we are all in spaces where our purpose and passion aligns is a reflection of the fact that we're winning. If we weren't winning, they wouldn't be spending as much money as they are trying to keep us from being able to get closer to freedom. So I'm asking us to do the work of being in community. A principled struggle. We don't have to agree on everything, but we got to agree that all black people need to be free. Now, when I say black people, I want to be clear. All skin folk ain't my kinfolk. I'm not talking about Kanye West. I'm not talking about Omarosa. I'm not talking about Candace Owens. They can go. But if you purport to love the God that I know, then you got to love all of us. You got to stand on the business of making sure that we take care of each other. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that was what God placed on my heart. Love all of us. That's the point. You change the mindset by loving on all of us. Right? Because here, let me hurt some of y'all feelings now that I done got y'all on my side. Because here's how this usually go. In this space, y'all usually only want me and my gifts that my God gave me to be singing in a choir or performing a praise dance. Hello, somebody, now your feelings are hurt. Right? Too often, we only have a part of the conversation, which is we always hear, again, my queerness is African. There is nothing that exists that is not African. So Mbufu Some in chapter 13 of Spirit of Intimacy wrote, in my village in West Africa, the words lesbian and gay did not exist, but the word gatekeeper did. I am a gatekeeper like Byron Rustin is a gatekeeper. We wouldn't have civil rights as we know it without Tamika Mallory and Byron Rustin. But unless and until we understand that we got to love on one another, We got to take our stuff to the pulpit and to a therapist. We got to get out of the way of trying to live through our children. If we can't do that, then we can give all this other stuff up, because that's how we actually get free. That's all I got.
Come on. I told y'all the brother raises the consciousness. God bless you, brother. I have been told we are in our Q&A phase. All right. How are we going to do this? I want to make sure we got a mic here. How many mics we got?
They'll just
And
stand in
here.
the center. We'll send them into the center.
Move around. Okay. All right. Y'all want them to raise the hands, stand up?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll hold it for you. I'll hold it. All right. Hello. Thank you all for being here. It's very exciting. I'm very glad you're here. I'm Pamela Chance. Been a member of New Birth since '92. Today I'm excited because today I launched in beta phase spadeslife.com. Spades Life, thank you, is a digital marketplace where Black people can interact and spend that $1.8 trillion together. So Buy Black US is wonderful, but you can't search for a shirt or search for a nail or search for a screw. And that's the difference. It's shaped like Amazon. It's shaped like Etsy. And I'm very excited that it launched today. And we want to, Brother Busby, offer all of the thousands and thousands of members of the U.S. Black Chamber, like myself, free membership on the directory.
Wow.
So that everybody is represented and everybody can be searched. So just want to announce that today. My question is, given where we are in this environment, what is the best way you feel to communicate and redirect the dollars towards ourselves? And I'm just curious what each of you might have to say, because there's a lot of things out there, but they're all really, really hard to get to. So what do you recommend?
That's a great question, and thank you for that question. You know, after the murder of George Floyd, we all got together then and we're saying the same thing. What do we do as a community? And there was no place for us to go to find Black businesses, Black banks, Black churches. So we partnered with Buy Black to implement a program to be able to find Black businesses. During the murder of George Floyd was the same time that COVID was going on. We lost 41% of all Black-owned businesses in this country between the months of February and April of 2020. And when we surveyed them, they said it wasn't because they were in the wrong business. It wasn't because they had lack of information or lack of capital. It was lack of information. And so the U.S. Black Chamber, along with the Black media, Black press, said that we've got to make sure that we give information to our communities through trusted sources that are reliable, that we have grown to know. And so that's why the U.S. Black Chamber acquired the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters 3 years ago, which represents 170 Black radio stations and Black TV stations. In today's conversations about information, social media, but more importantly, the Black press has always been here to tell us where to go, what to do, and more importantly, the news that is changing our communities and our companies going forward. And so I would tell people there's no reason for us not to say now that we don't know where to go or we don't have the information, because it is available.
On the front page of all of our papers this week will be the announcement that the boycott continues all over the United States. I would hope that everyone would subscribe to a Black newspaper, a Black-owned newspaper, subscribe to an economic development program, because the consciousness that we need has to be constantly fed.
Yep.
You can come to the event and get that consciousness and then go lose it tomorrow, because we are bombarded with all the negativity. We're bombarded with all of the disgust and hopelessness. And, you know, I think that tonight and tomorrow going forward, we should be just more conscious about how we can help one another as brothers and sisters in the community. I think that we can attain and gain a lot more ground, even during this period, if we turn to each other rather than turning on each other.
Amen. I know we have a lot of people, okay? And I want to be fair. Obviously, 15 minutes is not enough time, but we're going to be here. So if your question cannot get answered, if you don't have time to do it in the line.
I have a suggestion with all these people. Just let them ask their question.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we'll try to.
Yeah, we'll just stay here. All right. So I'm going to go where?
Right here in the middle. We're going to stay in the center.
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
bring them over
Okay.
here. All right, state your name.
My name is Peyton Moore, son of Willie Moore Jr. I'm 16 inside high school. Yes, sir. My question is, I have a question before my question. How many people are 16 a year?
What was the question? 16.
How many people are 16 years of age in here? As you can see, I'm the only one inside here with 16. Now, how do we ensure as young people that we can push this movement and also plant the seeds as a community that we keep pushing the narrative? Because a lot of times what I see on social media, if I go on my social media, all I'm going to see is negativity, something else that's just pushing the narrative of what the government wants to see. What the government wants to see is twerking, drugs, weed, money, all this other stuff. But we never push the narrative of this. As you can see, there's nobody in high school inside here except for me. How do we ensure as young people that we as a community, because the community is not going to grow unless,
Wait, let's do this because you're asking a question that you are best positioned to answer. So I would love for you to tell us what we need to do such that other people who you know would want to be in this space. Let's make this meaningful.
If I had to do a way to make sure that our communities as young people gets to this, to build and grow, so I can have more people like us, it starts with me. I have to share this with my friends, right? We have to make sure on social media, because they want to keep us down. They're obviously going to try to keep this out the media. We have to make sure on social media we can push this narrative in a way that connects young people more than just people inside here. So how do we learn to do that? Well, first of all, we have to see how they do that. A lot of times we took a lot of things in business. A lot of times you take something for something else. Like in podcasts, I learned other people do a lot of their commercials and different things the same way as you see on other things, because there's a lot of connections out there. So if we want to connect the young people, we got to learn how they do it and push our narrative. So I would start off with me. I'll probably share it to my friends. But the way we have to share it is we have to have a website, a social media platform, and the way we can communicate in a way that we can make this more than just me. And we can go viral. That's what I would say. We'll go viral, get hot. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
All right, thank you. That was awesome.
Y'all can do better than that. He gave y'all free game that people pay consultants big money to tell them. And y'all got businesses, y'all better implement that plan. Sir, let's talk after this.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Willie Moore Jr. Man, I'm going to give you a round of applause for being a great dad, brother. Thank you for your leadership. Okay.
Hello, my name is Pamela Booker. I am the founder of Clothes by Nature. My product was actually in Target before DEI. I've been in business for 15 years, and what I've seen is that how can we build infrastructure with the tariffs and everything that's going on, what happened with COVID. As a manufacturer of products, it was hard for us to get our resources. I found out everything is made in China and Mexico. Even though it may be assembled here in the United States, the components are made in Mexico. So with you all bringing all of the businesses, coming buy black, it is amazing, but we gonna run out. We need infrastructure here in the United States to make our jars, to make our plastic tops. We need that here. So how can we build that infrastructure here in the United States?
That's open to any panelist.
That's a great question. Access to capital is the #1 issue for all small businesses. But when you talk to a black business owner, like the sister here, it's the 1, 2, and 3. Affordability, availability, and accessibility. Go to usblackchambers.org. We have grants right now for manufacturing, right now to develop infrastructure. Although the federal government has stopped, there are other corporations that have stepped in to make sure that we have the manufacturing opportunities going forward, because right now today it is very difficult, and I hear what you're saying, But make sure you're going to the usblackchambers.org to find out. There's an organization, company called Lendistry that's black-owned, which is the largest black lender in America right now. Great rates, and are definitely lending to black business owners.
Thank you for that information. That's light. Thank you, brother.
My name is Sherdine Reynolds. I am the CEO of She Prints It here in Atlanta. Woo woo. Okay, I got some friends in the building. I just wanted to first thank Jamal Bryant so much for this opportunity, and also note that one of the things that stands out to me is that Proverbs 18:21 said there's power in death in the tongue, like life and death in the tongue. And we talking about how Target spoke that they're going to do something for us and they didn't stick to it, right? And so that's brought death to their business. But I want us to have a deeper conversation about the power of the tongue in the black community. Because as a black-owned business, in dealing with, like that queen said, the tariffs, COVID, and all the challenges we deal with, it's challenging to have on top of that black people saying they don't want to do business with black folks. Right. Black people saying that we don't have the right infrastructure or systems, but we'll support a brand that had 20 years to build something that we didn't have the ability to do. So what are we doing intentionally, to stop starting new organizations and support the ones that exist? You have organizations like Buy From a Black Woman, Buy Black, like there's all these organizations that already exist. Can we stop starting new ones and support the ones that exist and give them a voice? And two, are we gonna have some closed door, no camera, real talk conversations on how we move and change the power of our tongue to speak power over black businesses, not just with your dollars, but with your voices? Because I can't see how we grow and expand without that. And I would just say the last piece, as talking about black businesses, we can't just focus on supporting black businesses that are retail products. There are black businesses that are service-based, yep, and that also support other black businesses like my company does. And if a black retail brand, we all push to support them, but then they don't take that dollar to then do business with service-based black businesses, we're breaking the cycle, and we have to have a plan for all of that.
Ecosystem is what she's talking about. Has been ecosystem.
There's this story that many of us have heard, and it goes a little something like this. My great-grandfather used to always talk about white folk ice was colder than ours. Like everything that white people did was better than what we did, even their ice was colder. That was the myth, but there was some truth to that myth. Before we had refrigerators, we used to have ice boxes. And if you've heard me tell this story before, please just indulge me. You see, before you had a refrigerator, you used to get a block of ice delivered to your house once a week. And they'd place that block of ice in what was called an ice box. And that would keep your meats and milks and vegetables fresh for 7 days. Well, my grandfather used to have an ice delivery service. And one early Saturday morning, I said, Daddy, Granddaddy, can I ride with you? Can I ride with you? And he said, all right. And we got up early that Saturday morning and put all the ice on the back of the truck. And first thing we did was went to the white communities. And we'd take that block of ice and we put it in our ice box, and it would last for 7 days. We'd ride around all day delivering to the white community, and then by the time we got to the black community, that ice is had on the back of the truck all day long. So now that ice then melted down a little bit, got chipped away a little bit. So by the time it got into our ice boxes, it literally only lasted for 5.5 days. So there was some truth to the fact that white folk ice was colder than ours. Because on Friday night, we would have to go to the white establishments to get a cold Coke or an ice drink. But because of a black man, we created the refrigeration. So understand this. I can get cubed ice, I can get crushed ice, I can get filtered ice, hell, I can get colored ice.
Cussing Christians.
And when we start thinking about our businesses in the same vein, we no longer have to be concerned about what white folk are doing, because our ice is cold enough now, guys. And when we start looking at our businesses and saying, I don't need you to give me a $1 product for 75 cents and then complain because I'm not getting that 85 cents worth of service. We've got to start paying our small businesses the price that is the price. They can no longer afford to be able to create manufacturing and grow their firms if we keep discounting them, if we keep asking for the brother hookup or the homegirl love. We've got to start doing the same things when we walk into their stores as we do when we walk into these white stores. Amen. We pay the price that's on the tag so that they can continue to make the profits to be able to grow their establishment.
Amen. On that note, round of applause for our entire panel. Round of applause to you. Never forget, you are creator beings. The greatest thing that can happen to a creator being is for them to take away your distractions, and you are back into your creative mind. Let's bring back to the stage our dear brother and leader, Dr. Jamal Bryant.
Come on, would you give it up for these brilliant lights? They glow in the dark. Come on, clap for them. Brother Rashad, come on, give it up. Brother Ron Busby. Senior statesman, Dr. Ben Chavis. Super bad sister number one, Tamika Mallory. The Honorable Dr. Nina Turner. Dr. Step on Toes, David Johns. We're so thankful. You may be seated for just one moment, just one moment. I want to say just a couple of things en route to our departure. First, are you glad you came out tonight? I hope that you are. Those of you who have not, particularly for those of you who are streaming, I want to pause and publicly appreciate Isaac Hayes III and fan base for streaming us on a Black-owned platform. I want to thank God, our dear brother and comrade Roland Martin, who is always in the trenches. Those of you who have not done so, it's an urgent imperative that you would register at targetfast.org. We need all of your contact information because we're going to be sending out e-blasts so that you will be updated as to what is taking place. We're going to be modifying the name of that website in not too many days so that the full boycott is encompassed in that. I want to say to you that we will be announcing to you our national organizing committee of those who work in a civil rights space and grassroots space for accountability. Tamika always says, always be a group in the meeting to hold us accountable